Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. It's Honorable Court for the County of Bladen, I was for the City Dispatcher's business with the Honorable William Ferry and Judge Gore presiding.
Well, good morning. We are here this morning for a rather sad occasion. As I'm sure everybody knows, our friend and colleague, Cliff Hester, passed away this weekend. And it occurs to me, and I think to all the other judges, that it would be appropriate for us to have take just a minute to remember Cliff. And so we're going to take a few minutes out of our court day today and speak a little bit about him and remembering as we can on a hard day. So I'm going to ask Judge Gore to say a few words, and then be glad to hear from anybody that would like to make any comments. And then maybe we'll have just a moment of silence, okay? Judge Gore.
Thank you, Judge Fairley. I just want to echo the sentiments and to give my true and sincerest just sympathy, not only to Cliff's family, but to his law firm, to his bar family, to everyone that had the pleasure of coming into contact with Cliff. And I think times like this and sadness, it truly means that we need to come together as a courthouse family. And we often see one another in passing. We have cases together, we speak to one another, and we do our business. But times like this, it just emphasizes the fact that we are a courthouse family and that we do care about each other a great deal, and we need to make sure that we comfort one another, support one another in times of need. In Bladen County, the bar is very small, and you are in fact a family. Everybody knows everybody. I just want to extend my deepest sympathies to Gary, to Kyle, to the entire law firm. Cliff was always a joy. Every time I saw him inside or outside of the courtroom, he was just very kind to me, and I appreciated that. The last jury trial, or the last trial that Cliff had, was in front of Judge Chandler, and that was about 3 weeks ago. And Cliff dedicated his life to the practice of law. He loved the practice of law, and he loved Bladen County, and that was very evident in everything that he did. Here in the Bladen County Courthouse, we will certainly miss Cliff. I will miss him speaking to me. I will miss him appearing in front of me in court. And it won't be the same, that's for sure. I appreciate the sheriff coming, everyone from different agencies coming, clerk's office in the back. We all had the privilege of working with him. I just want to say I'm truly sorry. It was a sudden shock, and it will take us all a while to be able to move past that. But Cliff would want us to band together. He would want us to continue working hard. He would want us to continue doing justice right here in this courthouse, where he dedicated his life to the practice of law. Judge Fairley, anything you want to add?
Well, I'm going to ask any members of the bar care to speak. Mr. Bladen.
Thank you, Judge. Hope I can get through this. Judge, on behalf of Kyle, on behalf of Rocky and our staff, and Cliff's family, we just so appreciate the prayers of the bar, the prayers from the bench, and this time to remember Cliff. Last night I shared with the family. They were eating supper, and I sent him a copy of Judge Usher's text that this was going to happen. And I can tell you it brought the family to tears. Judge, he was my friend for 59 years for judges. He was my law partner for 35. We grew up as children riding bikes and dreaming about practicing law, and eventually maybe practicing law together. We wanted to be like our fathers, who also practiced law. Judge, we spent so much time playing Army, going hunting, going camping, played football together in high school, where Cliff was All-State, first team All-State, a member of the state championship football team. And judges, I just barely got through a lot. But it came time to come to college, and my choices were Appalachian State or the Army. Cliff's choices were Harvard or Davis. He later went on to play football at Davidson, where he was captain of the football team and played there for 4 years. Judges, we got the room together in college for a year while we were in law school, and, well, those things I probably can't talk about, but it was a good year. Cliff later went to practice law with a law firm in Atlanta out of law school, big construction law firm. When I came back to Bladen County to practice with my dad, he and I continued to talk with each other, and he eventually came back and practiced with his, and we immediately talked about practicing together, and thank God it did happen. Judges, Cliff had such a big heart. He often told me, sometimes to my frustration, that his mission in life was practicing law. Cliff always had time for his clients. Clients would come and tell him a story about their situation, and Cliff would almost always go. Judge, me and our law firm and our staff have lost a part of our heart and our soul. But again, we just appreciate the bar, the bench, everybody here for being here to remember Cliff. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
Judge.
I'd like to say just a couple of words, if I may. Given that I expect I'm about the oldest guy in the room, maybe with the exception of Mr. Wall over there. I got licensed to practice in 1978, before many of you were even born. I went to work down in Southport with Ray Walton. Ray was an old-time trial lawyer in the district, and back then there just weren't many lawyers in the 13th district. There just weren't many of us. And the great advantage of that was that you were able to meet all the other lawyers that practiced. You just knew everybody. Ray took me around and introduced me to everybody, and one of the first lawyers I met was Cliff's dad, Mr. Hester. Ray was particularly fond of Mr. Hester, and he told me that he was a great gentleman, and I found that to be absolutely true. I tell you all of that because the lawyers of a generation ahead of me, particularly small town lawyers, tended to be very interesting, gentle people. That was Mr. Hester's personality. He was just a gentle, easygoing guy. Remarkably courteous and just a fine human being. And I thought the other night, as I heard that Cliff had passed away, how he might like to be remembered. And it occurred to me that perhaps the finest thing you could say about him was that Cliff behaved exactly like his dad. He was just a fine, decent person. He was a fine lawyer, and I'm sure that he would like to know that that was everybody's opinion of him, but the important thing at this point is that he was a very, very decent human being. And that's kind of the way I would like to remember Cliff Hester. So folks, can we rise please for just a moment of silence in remembrance of our friend, Mr. Cliff Hester. Thank you very much, folks.